something changed, especially with turning 40. And for those of you on video, you can see slightly more grey hair. Haven't dyed it at the minute. Um, Something changed in me. And I knew that emotionally, life was much easier if I just settled for a six-figure business. But I didn't want to. Something in me really wanted more, even though I knew it was going to be stressful and painful and difficult, and it's going to challenge me, and I'm going to fail, and I'm going to have to get back up, and I'm going to have to go again, and I'm going to have to grow. And I'm like, why do I want this? What's wrong with me? You got it good. Why do you want that change? But there was something in me, like something spoke inside of me. I've built a seven-figure business before. I want to build it again, and I want to build it bigger. Welcome to the Alan Miles Show. It has been a extended hiatus, but it's great to be back. And over the next coming weeks, we're going to have a range of guests coming up to fill all of us with knowledge, get key takeaways, get back to that note taking that the podcast is known for. Today, I want to really talk through something that I don't think is spoken about enough in the online space particularly, but in building a business when we're looking at consulting and coaching and those kind of things. And I want to talk through a 20K month, not how to get there. I don't want to talk about tactics and hacks, etc. today. I want to talk about the business owner behind that and why a 20K month was a really pivotal moment in this journey for me, but why I think that it's a great place for a lot of business owners to really look at and ask themselves a really great question. So I remember it was fairly early on in my online business journey that I got to a 20K month. So for context, for those of you that don't know me, obviously my name's Alan Miles. This is my show, the Alan Miles Show. But more importantly, before moving to the online world, about 6.5 years ago, I owned a recruitment company. We did about $1.5 million per year. I'd never really worked in 10K months or 20K months. It was just grow the business revenue. And I always surrounded myself with people with much bigger businesses than myself. But I had a seven-figure business. I sold it because I wanted to spend more time with my kids at home, which is why I moved to the online space to run an online business. So it wasn't long into my online coaching journey or consulting journey that we hit the 20K month. And I did it in two calls. So two different clients, one call after another, both signed a 10K program, and I was at 20K. And I was like, cool, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy. I had basically zero overheads at that point. We were about 95% profit. Everything rested on my shoulders. And I was okay with it. I could dip in and out of the business. Life was pretty good. But the thing that I think really shocked me at first was what happened after that. I became a little bit complacent. I took my foot off the gas, and the next month was a zero. So I went from a 20K month to a zero month. So really they averaged out at two 10K months because you have to start dipping into your reserves. I've got a mortgage to pay. I've got bills to pay. Even if the business was running at that point with very little overhead, I still had a life to live. So that inconsistency was something that I was like, okay, that's quite interesting, because you go from this moment of emotional high, like there's relief, there's validation, there's that I figured it out type feeling, to then basically being what feels like slapped in the face with a wet fish, getting crickets the next month. Not because I couldn't close, but because I just took my foot off the gas. And it really created a realization that 20K once, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it means absolutely nothing. The real key is understanding how to build consistency. And 20K isn't success. It's the place that you discover whether you actually want to build a business, or you just had a good month and you're happy being a contractor or a consultant or whatever it might be, but the fluctuation will always remain. Because I think that there's like a hidden truth when we're looking at 20K businesses. And I think for the ease, I'm going to refer to path A, not so much as a business, not to be disrespectful, but just to get the distinction. So a 20K operator versus a 20K business, let's say. So path A is that calm six-figure operator. And this is where I spent 5 years of my time in the online space. I'm more than happy just working part-time, getting good one-to-one, high-ticket clients. That was it. It's a very simple model, very flexible hours, part-time lifestyle. And like I said, I ran it for 5 years. But it's a great life if you are prioritizing freedom and not the game of business. And I do believe that many people should choose this, um, because y- people say they want to scale, but what they mean is they just want a bit more money. So you can charge a customer more to increase your prices. You could bring in an additional revenue stream. There's other ways to increase from 10 to 20K. And that would be a monumental change to somebody's life if you've got very low overheads. That doesn't mean you want to scale. That just means you just want to have a bit more money coming in. I do believe, like in that situation, the six-figure path is the right route for a lot of people because you're already the person who can manage that business. You don't have team to manage, particularly maybe have a VA. You don't have complex systems. You're not having to run a customer service desk or anything like that. And you can absolutely build a beautiful life at six figures, earning one, two, 300,000 per year, keeping 80% of it. But you need to stop pretending that it's a seven-figure strategy. Or worse, trying to apply a seven-figure strategy when you're only trying to earn six figures. It's like going for a jog and thinking you need 4x4 mode. You're not going to attach four giant tires to your legs because you're going to fall over. And that's really what we're looking at here is the difference between earning high five figures and low six figures. It's not really much different. You're just getting smarter with how you charge people. And you're not so much doing direct hourly rate, so to speak. You are charging for an outcome and you're charging for your time still because there's a cap to what you can do, especially if you want to work part time. But it's completely different to a true seven figure strategy, which is building a proper, quote unquote, proper business. Because real scale, it starts around that 80 to 90K mark, which is the entry point for $1 million, pounds, euros per year. And it's an entirely different game. Like there will be some people who can brute force their way there once or twice, maybe even several times, working as a consultant, smash their way to it. They will continually go through a burnout cycle unless they are an absolute unicorn or they have a service that is super high ticket. 99% of people, myself included, like, we need leverage. We need some kind of team to be able to hit these types of numbers. We need delivery that doesn't rely on you. And I think that for me, definitely, that has always been an issue. Wanting to be the hero in my own business, that is what will keep you trapped more often than not. You need to, and this is me talking to myself as much as anyone else, you need to get out of the way and you need to trust in the systems and the process and the team that you've built. And the leadership pressure that comes with it. Like you have all of a sudden now a change in your revenue mix. So there might still be some one-to-one, but you need some more leveraged containers, whether that's a membership, a group program, self-paced digital products, whatever it might be. You need other things that allow you to leverage your time, things that aren't reliant on you doing everything. And I think that the thing to really think about is the operator. So that six-figure model, it creates income freedom, but the seven-figure model, that creates time freedom. And like this is where scale is not it's not really a tactic. I believe it's actually identity expansion because something has to change inside of you. You have to be able to say, okay, we have a plan. We have a process of how we're going to get to that plan. I'm going to use data to guide me. So I'm going to stop panicking when things go up and down, like a ship going across the sea. There's going to be waves. It's perfectly normal. I'm going to stop rescuing delivery every time it's not exactly how I want, but instead, I'm going to trust people. I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to tolerate some level of uncertainty, and I'm going to lead my business instead of saving my business at every opportunity. And I think that most businesses, they don't stall because of a strategy. They stall because the founder can't emotionally handle that next level. They've not got to that place yet because it requires a lot of growth. If you have grown up in a normal environment, parents working a 9 to 5, they're not necessarily entrepreneurs. They haven't earned millions of pounds or dollars or euros. Why would you know how to manage that? Why would you know what to do when you've got 10 people telling you they don't know what to do, or a process stops working, or a customer complains because of somebody else, and you feel it like a personal attack because it reflects on you? Like for my business, Alan Miles Consultancy, it's my name above the door. When something goes wrong, they don't go, well, it was a team member's fault. They go, Alan Miles. That's me. So it's very natural to want to jump in and fix it. And I've learned the hard way over and over again that that might create some short-term relief, but it won't ever create the long-term sustainable success that you want. You have to be able to grow and take that next step. And in those difficult moments, not revert back to old behavior. Because I think the real decision that a lot of founders avoid is that both paths are completely valid. Like, there's people who will take 7 figures and go to 8 or 9 figures. There's people who take the 6 figure path who are happy at 5 figures or 4 figures. Like, it depends on the exact situation, but you've got 4, 5, and 6 figures. That's peace. Like, that's powerful. If you have other priorities in life, if you're not the main income earner, earning 4 or 5 figures, well, 4 figures is a normal part time job. 5 figures is a normal full time job. If you can earn 40 or 50,000 per year, working a couple of hours, and you're the second income earner in your household, and you can spend all the time you want doing the things that really fill your cup, that's a great outcome. Like, I don't think that that's recognized anywhere near enough in the online space. But the same is true on the other side. Like, having a goal of building a 7 figure, an 8 figure, or a 9 figure business, that isn't stupid. It's not wrong. It's not impossible. It's not even complicated. It's a simple process. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it's a simple process. But you have to be the right person. So instead of going for a walk, we're going to drive on the motorway or the highway or the freeway or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's a different vehicle on a different road because it's a different journey. And I think that the real danger is drifting between the two of them, because you see something that Alex Hormozy says, then you see something somebody else says, and you go from a 6 figure to a 7 figure strategy and back to a 6 figure, and you actually end up earning zero because you think you're wanting scale, but you're actually building for comfort. So you just stay frustrated for years, just going around in a loop. And I think that um, the thing that you need to realize, when I realized that I actually wanted scale, it was as I was approaching my 40th birthday, and I had to make some big changes. And I made mistakes again, first of all. Old habits die hard. Um, I have no problem in admitting at points I'm a control freak, especially with my business. So I had to let go of that level of control. I had to let go of some degree of simplicity, although I do like to still have a very straightforward process. I absolutely had to let go of being the hero in my business. And I had to level up who I was and am as a business owner, as a leader, and understand that what had worked for me over the previous 5 years isn't going to work if I want to hit my new goals. If I want to make this next 5 or 10 years what I want it to be of a 7, 8 or 9 figure business. Like, things have to change internally, like deep inside of you, both in your chest, but also in your head, because I had to become a lot more patient. I had to plan more. I like to move with speed very aggressively, but I had to build structure so that I could hand a process off, because otherwise I would engineer it so that it fell back on me. So I had to think, okay, well, how do I get this information across to a team member so that they can do a job better than I could do it, because they can make it their sole focus. So why don't I walk through the process of what I want them to do, get them to review that information, get them to create an SOP from it so that I can see if they're learning? Because we all know that if somebody has to teach back to you some information, it sticks with them much more. It then starts to become their process. I want them to be empowered with their processes instead of just do this, do this, do that. Like, that's a dictatorship, and that's not going to build you what you want. And it's about understanding that long-term thinking and trusting in structure. And that's the piece that is going to give you that big leap and get you into that arena of 80K, 100K, 200K per month, is understanding that you have to make those changes, because it's not the goal to get there one time, like a cannonball on fire, like, and you're burnt out at the end of that. The idea is to get there to that 80 to 100K per month, and that now to become the new normal, the minimum acceptable amount to move you forward. And that is a big jump if you're somebody who has been at 10, 20, 5K, 30K, whatever, in that region, sub 40K. That's a big mental jump to understand that that now has to become your new normal. I think by this part in the podcast, I think that one of these paths will have resonated with you if you're listening, and that might change in the future. But right now, I think you hear what's calling you, and there's a voice, I suppose, inside of you that's going to say, yeah, that sounds like me. I know for me, up until fairly recently, that six-figure life of freedom, it spoke to me. And I was like, yeah, I just want an easy life. I want to earn good money, chill out and relax. But then something changed, especially with turning 40. And for those of you on video, you can see slightly more gray hair. Haven't dyed it at the minute. Um, Something changed in me. And I knew that emotionally, life was much easier if I just settled for a six-figure business. But I didn't want to. Something in me really wanted more, even though I knew it was going to be stressful and painful and difficult, and it's going to challenge me, and I'm going to fail, and I'm going to have to get back up, and I'm going to have to go again, and I'm going to have to grow. And I'm like, why do I want this? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, you got it good. Why do you want that change? But there was something in me, like something spoke inside of me. I've built a seven-figure business before. I want to build it again, and I want to build it bigger. And you have to listen to your gut. You have to listen to what's important to you, not listen to the wider world of what you should want. You want what you want. And I encourage you to pursue that goal and that dream. Some people just aren't meant for seven figures. That doesn't make you a good person, a bad person. It doesn't make you anything. It just means that you've got other priorities other than just business. But what I would say is, if you feel stuck, if you've decided that you want to go for that seven-figure path, well, reach out to me. Like, let's have a conversation. If you just go to the website, alanmiles.com, so ALLANMILES.com, you will see at the top of that page, there is a button for a seven-figure mentorship. Um, we're very selective about the mentorship, and there's an application process. There's a conversation to decide a fit. There's absolutely no sale process to it. Like, it's a case of you're either the right person for that process, and I will share with you everything that I do and have done in my businesses to get me to seven figures, because it's a recipe, it's a process of getting there, or you're not the right person for that. And it's a case of you just need simple support and guidance to move you into the best place possible to live that life that you want in that six figure or high five figure world, so that you can go and have a great life and you can focus on other things other than business. Just like somebody who wants to be in some kind of shape, but they don't want to be a bodybuilder, they don't want to be a CrossFitter, they don't want to be a marathon runner. Fitness is an important component of life, but it isn't their life. Same with business. That's I think probably a great way to think about it. And I just want to end with something a little bit reflective. 20K isn't the goal. It's the question. What life are you actually trying to build? It's been great to be back. I cannot wait to bring our first guest on for our next episode. Please be sure to reach out to me. If you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon. If you are watching this on, or sorry, listening to this on any of the main podcast providers, please leave us a review. Really appreciate all the 5-star reviews. And always feel free to reach out to me on social. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, or LinkedIn. Just look Alan Miles and you will find me. Make sure you spell my name correctly, Allan. It's been a pleasure, guys. I will see you all next time.